Hello everyone, welcome to Trend Talks, and today I have the pleasure to talk with Sara Kane. She is Senior Vice President at Beecher, Carlson, a large account risk management broker firm based in the USA. Sara previously worked at St. Edison and has several years of experience in risk management of solar projects. Welcome, Sara.
Hi there, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. How about you?
Good, thank you.
Managing the crisis situation in your country?
We are doing the best we can, yeah.
Yeah.
Healthy. We're all healthy, so that's good.
That's good. Sara, I want to talk to you a little today about risk management, insurance, and especially with respect to extreme weather conditions. So what trends do you see in the solar market, the solar project market, with respect to the insurance against extreme weather impacts?
Yeah, it's kind of all that we're talking about these days, both from actual events and prospective events, and maybe more like fear of potential events. We're having, the loss history around solar, for the most part, since its inception, has been driven by natural catastrophe events, be it flood or hail or wind. And so that really is what's driving underwriters' considerations around pricing and their appetite for insuring solar assets. Location is the thing that matters more than anything else.
Location, and you mean country-wise in the mid parts of the U.S. versus the eastern and the western part, because there's difference in climate conditions.
Exactly, and even within a site, the micro trends around where on a site you locate could make a difference for flood pricing, so to speak, versus earthquake coverage. It sort of is what it is if you're located in a general area in California, but flood, we can be a little bit more discrete about where on a site a project is located, which could have an impact on flood insurance.
Yeah. What do you currently see as the biggest challenges in this area?
The biggest challenge primarily right now is the cost of the capacity to insure a project to the levels that lenders and tax equity want to see it insured to. For a few months, we had a capacity issue, meaning there wasn't enough capacity to fully satisfy all the stakeholders of a project that you had sufficient insurance. And by that, I mean specifically for the perils of hail and windstorm, you might not be able to get enough coverage to make folks comfortable that you were fully insured. It's less a matter of the availability of capacity now, it's more a matter of the price. And so at what point does the cost of insurance become prohibitive, and you should prevail upon sponsors and their partners to accept something that's less than they might want to see otherwise.
Yeah, can you disclose any, like an average, what are the costs on maybe in a percentage of what do you have to take into account for such insurance?
It depends on the peril, it depends on the location, but when I talk about the perils of natural catastrophe, specifically I'm talking about windstorm, earthquake, flood, more and more wildfire, and hail are the things that are really driving the discussion. Depending on the location, depending slightly on the technology used, although that's less the driver than the location itself is, you can see costs of between $30,000 and $60,000 per million of coverage. And that is, and the reason I hesitate to do it as a percentage of the overall project size is because it's a choice how much limit you buy. It's a choice both from an owner standpoint, just prudent risk management, how much limit you want to see, but also what your lenders and tax equity will expect you to have coverage for. So you can be, so once you get agreement on what the limit is, then that drives your overall cost.
Yeah. Is there any type of extreme weather that you have experienced so far in your career that has been underestimated as a risk?
So the story of the insurance story of the last 18 months is hail.
Hail,
yes,
okay.
Yes. I joke that I've never said the word hail more in the last, I've said the word hail more in the last 18 months than I have in like the rest of my life combined. It was not a peril that anybody, I think, was giving a lot of thought to that could be very damaging to a project. And then there was an actual example of a hail event that caused its estimates, right? But between 150 and $200 million worth of damage to a site. Now there was some debate as to whether the hail caused all that damage, or some of that could have existed prior to the hail event, transport or installation. But regardless, there was a paid hail claim September of last year in the range of about $75 million, negotiated settlement. It was not our client, in full disclosure, but a lot of this information is public. And it dramatically changed the market overnight. The expectation prior to that was that you would insure a project for its total value for hail, and overnight you could not do that. You would be lucky initially if you could get $5 to $10 million worth of coverage for hail. Now we have seen more availability for hail coverage now, again, at a price. But that's really the thing I think that took, it was not considered a real natural catastrophe peril that solar was exposed to. And there's been a lot of discussion since then on what kind of damage hail could do.
I can imagine, because this is also kind of new to me, that it causes so much damage, because you could also think that solar panels nowadays could withstand these hail impacts. So who's to blame here? Is that the panel manufacturer in a way?
Probably, I'm sure there's a lot of parties. Again, this particular event I can't speak directly to. It wasn't my client, so I'm not. But yes, I mean, we spent a lot of time now talking about what onus does the OEM have in that kind of situation. Have they actually been built for purpose? Is the right technology chosen for that location? Unfortunately, right now we're not seeing underwriters really care about the answers to those questions, but owners absolutely do need to care about the answers to those questions. And by that I mean, if you're trying to make a case to your insurer that you've chosen the right technology for the location, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a better price on your insurance. You should, but we're not yet seeing that happen. But regardless, you're going to have a sublimit. So, and when I say that, if your project's just, for example, worth $100 million and you buy $20 million of hail coverage, you want to be comfortable that your project can sustain. You won't have $20 million worth of hail coverage, and you need to do that by choosing the right technology for the site, even if you're not getting an insurance benefit for doing that. But yes, that dramatically changed the market for us.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. We have to go to a conclusion also of this interview. Is there any new trend that you see that is emerging that is interesting for our audience to take care of or to watch out for?
It really does. I would say I don't expect there to be much softening of the market in the near future. By that I mean, I don't think we're going to get much rate relief. We might get some more capacity in the market, which could provide some relief, but I think our insurance pricing right now is much higher than it has historically been, and it will probably stay around these ranges for the foreseeable future. So really, site selection and thinking about insurability of the site in the development phase is key. I think right now we have some sort of, I call them kind of stuck assets, where they've already been developed, they're really well down the path, but no one's really thought about insurance costs until now, and sort of been relying on outdated estimates on what insurance would provide, which is no longer true, and it's changing the project economics. And so really thinking about insurability of a site long before the PPA is signed, long before any sort of development work happens is paramount. I should say, I don't think that's a trend yet, but it's my hope that becomes a trend, that folks really would think about insurance much sooner in the process than they do.
Wow, that's a very nice and good advice for all these project developers out there. So I would like to thank you very much, Sarah, for this very interesting interview, and I hope to see you soon at one of our events.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Bye-bye.